So I called my mom and told her I was dropping out of university and going to art school. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Bex, a Canadian graphic designer, baker, and avid gamer. Every design graduate creates a final graphic design portfolio, and this video we are gonna go through mine. This baby is almost 10 years old. I found it while I was moving and I was so excited about it. I thought, hey, let's make a video about it and kind of go over what I thought about design school and this final portfolio process. Let's start with kind of an overview of how design school worked for me. So I went to a 3-year program at Durham College. So I have an Advanced Diploma in graphic design is what they call it, and I'm currently upgrading to a degree in professional arts, which is really exciting. And so our first year of design school, you're not allowed to use any computers. Everything you do has to be done by hand and mounted on boards. And I'm actually planning on going through some of my first year and second year projects. So keep your eyes out for that video coming soon. So in second year in my program, you focus on kind of the different specialties within design. So you have a corporate design class, an advertising design class, and there was a couple others that are evading my memory. Then in third year, you focus on building your final portfolio. So you get a list of projects that you can choose from, and you have to design 10 of the projects and put them in a final portfolio. If you do not receive, I think it was a 60% at least on your design portfolio, it doesn't matter about the rest of your years. You fail the program and you have to, I think, redo third year maybe. Thankfully, we didn't have to go down that route, but yeah, the final portfolio process is super huge. Now, I've seen a few other videos where they reference that their portfolio is a compilation of the projects that they made throughout their education. In my program, it was you took all of the things you learned in your first 2 years and you applied them and created a final portfolio. Let's dig in here. So this is my cover page here. This is actually a really good friend of mine. She has an Instagram account called That Chick. She was always my go-to model in design school. So this was a magazine cover called Dazed and Confused, and I love it. It's so artsy and grungy, and it's just so much, like, it's so different than what I would design now, with like elements of my design style is still here, but I love the soft pastels. I love the grunge. I think it's so cute. So next up here is a book cover design. These are, of course, so I think the project was you had to redesign book covers, like a series of classics. And so naturally, of course, we have Pride and Prejudice. Shocking, how surprising that Rebecca would pick Pride and Prejudice. Honestly, I like the simplicity of the color and I like the wood grain texture, and I think these would look pretty nice on a shelf. I wish that the artwork had mock-ups in here. I would love to see what these actually looked like on a book. Now, for my presentation, I would have had actual books and I would have had these printed on the books as well. You kind of lay it all out, but of course, I don't have any of that stuff anymore. So these are okay. They're kind of eh. Next up, we had a branding set for a library. So I love brand design. This is actually, I think, quite cute. So it's for Flyleaf Public Library. Very cute, nice solid green colors. I love the F in the leaf. I love the type hierarchy. We spend a lot of time making sure your type hierarchy is nice and you make sure the I is going to the proper information in the right order. I think it's cute that the details are on the side of the letterhead instead of the top or the bottom. We had to also do an advertising poster. With this, I went for a very handwritten, organic, sewing, crafty, just really homey kind of vibe with this. The text is all adventures you can take while reading books, and the tagline is "Adventure starts here," and I like it. I think that with the F in the logo and the integration of the handwritten type, it just kind of blends. I like it. I mean, the only critique I could give myself is that it doesn't really scream books. It would have been nice to have, maybe instead of doing the leaves, we could have had like sewn books in different like earthy tones. That could have been really nice, and then you would have known that it was a library. What do we have next? Ooh, more corporate design. I dig this one too. So this was a leather company called M0851. So we went for a very simple word mark here. I really like The type, I like that it's serif. I love how the numbers interact with each other. I was really into having the branding on the side of the letterhead for some reason. Nice, simple business card. I could envision this being printed on like a nice heavyweight linen piece of cardstock, so it feels like rich and luxurious. Even though the design is quite simple, you can kind of use those other elements to make it feel lavish. The advertisements focused a lot on what the bag looks like, and I think that the logo looks quite nice on that little brass plaque on the bag, and kind of the rich tones of the leather. To me, it creates such a luxurious vibe, and then just having the simple text on the bottom so you're not distracting from how beautiful the bag is. I like it. I think this ad would look awesome in a magazine. Now these ones were super fun to create, and I can definitely see some of my current design style reflected in these. One thing I want to mention, for me in design school, I was like super snotty about people who found images and things online. I don't know why. I thought that the whole point of it was to try to create our own stuff, and everything had to be done from scratch. So I didn't really use stock design anything. Like if there was like artsy elements to the stock stuff, I wouldn't incorporate it into my design because I felt like it already established the vibe by using somebody else's art. Now I understand in the real world you outsource all that stuff, you hire artists, but in design school for some reason I just didn't. This series here, we had to create a series of posters for plays in the park, and I opted to kind of do really hand-drawn illustrations and then crumple up the papers and take pictures of them and then inset them within the initials of whatever the play was. So it's definitely a creative, artsy take on these plays. Rather than having super well-known elements, I decided to kind of go the artsy route because it was a play in the park. It's not a motion picture, it's a creative adventure of it. So we did Dirty Dancing, and you can see, I'm not sure if you can get from the background there, we drew some watermelons, of course, from that iconic line in the movie, and inset them in the letters. The next one we did was Billy Elliot. That looks like it was ballet slippers in the background. The next one was Hairspray. And then the final one was Bring It On. So of course we have that iconic red. I really like these too. I really like the way that I laid out the type. The overall layout of the design and the poster, I think, is quite well done. I like the way, again, the type hierarchy. I'm really big on type hierarchy. I think that these turned out great. Ooh, this next one. It was a stationery set for a charity gala, and we had to kind of create... I'm surprised I didn't like this one more because I'm really into wedding design, but for some reason I just struggled with this. So it was called Be Their Light Charity Gala, and I went with like a navy yellow kind of combination, but not really overly fond of this one. All right, another one of the more fun projects. Now this one too, I would have had a mock-up of the actual thing. We had to design a board game. I went with the beloved Gilmore girls that I love, and we created a version of Seen It. These are the flat lays of the project. You can see that there's the top of the box, the bottom of the box, the card holder would be in here. There was the game rules guide, which I think turned out quite nice. Again, I really like the type hierarchy and the different styles that I used. I really like the overall color and vibe of the cards themselves, and I think that the board being the circles was very cute, and having Luke Steiner, of course, in there is quite nice. I also really like the categories that I had come up with for the different types of cards. So there's Gilmoreisms, identify the song, movie, or book the quotation is referencing, witty banter, select a card and identify who said it, Stars Hollow, answer a question about all things Gilmore Girls. The Luke's cards we designed in the shape of coffee cups, obviously. This was super cute. I really liked having to design all the different aspects of this game, having all the different components. We even designed, like back in the day, a CD sticker for it. Yeah, this one's cute. I like it. I like the colors. I like the vibe. I like the comparison of the yellow and brown tones with the bright blue. I think it turned out quite nice. All right, the next project was another brand stationery set. This one I love. This is like so me. I feel like it's still quite my design style. It's called Unwind Quality Yarns. I really, really love this logo in terms of having the jumbled ball of yarn lead into the word Unwind. I think it's super cute. I'm not overly fond of the type I chose for the quality yarn. I could have probably done a better job and picked a better typeface to match. We went with a typical top and bottom letterhead set here, so that's quite nice. I also really like the very faint knitting needles in the background on the letterhead. I think that that would look so nice when you actually print a letter on there. Love the use of using the knitting textures in the conversion chart key. I'm super happy with the stationery set. Still like it quite a bit. The next design was a website redesign. So we had to design a website. I chose to design Pencil for Kids. And so we had to create the home page and then create one of the actual pages. I really like the bold font choices on the home page. I like the banner at the top. It's a little bit busy, and I think that our vision and our mission could stand out a little bit better. But I think that the use of the spots of orange text, again, focusing on that typography, I really like how it came out. I will also say that the diagonal faint lines in the background is still something I love to use today. I think it's such a subtle texture to include that just creates a really nice aesthetic. The next project that we're going to look at here is redesigning the Bible. A typical Bible is pretty lacking in aesthetic. I know on Instagram and social media there's some really nice designed ones that you can get kicking around, but back in the day that was not a thing. So this was a very interesting project because you had to take something that typically wasn't really designed at all and kind of turn it into some creative thing. So we went for a really bold front cover and a very like artsy kind of graffiti-esque textured pattern in the background. And of course you can see my diagonals. I really like the way the colors are integrated into the scripture. I think it's quite nice. And yeah, I really like the soft pastel color scheme. This definitely, I think, it turned out quite nice. Now, practically, I feel like this design style wouldn't work for how long the Bible is, so that would have to be considered in the overall solution. But as far as like page layouts and stuff, I think these are quite nice. The next project is an annual report. So these are just page layouts and a cover. We had to name it as well. I wish I had the background on this project. That's the one thing I wish I included in my portfolio, was little bits of description about the projects themselves. This, it looks like we did some molecular science-y type thing. I think overall, I'm not a huge fan of the texture in the background. I think it's quite distracting. I do really like the hexagons and the purple. I'm pretty sure I probably used purple because I remember our corporate design teacher told us we were never allowed to use purple in anything. It was the worst color ever, and I disagree. I like the color purple. I went to Western University for a year, which is also the color purple, so I think I probably did this just above them. This next project is packaging design. So we had to create a package design for a product. I opted to go in true young female fashion with redesigning an ice cream product. And the really cute thing about these labels is that the target audience for these ice creams and this brand would be women who were emotional and upset and turning to ice cream for comfort. And in that turning to get comfort, they would get an inspirational message that would reaffirm them that they're crushing it and they're amazing. And so the top of the lids had inspiring quotes, and I really liked it. I love the fact that it's called With Love. I love the bright colors for the backgrounds, but then the very hand-drawn elements of the different flavors. You have the mint leaves for the peppermint white chocolate mocha, and then the cotton candy is just kind of some swirls. I really love the way that it plays together. The fact that the lid is dark, but the inspirational message is the bright color that pops out. I think that that was super well done. Yeah, I like this one too. Next, we move on to a magazine. So we had to design the cover and the title, like the table of contents, as well as do some spreads within. Of course, I recruited my good friend Jenna in here to be my model again, and she happens to be a very talented dancer. So we had a really, really fun photo shoot in front of some corn fields, and yeah, I really liked the way that these layouts turned out. I love the use of color on the title page. I think, again, the typography I really focused on typography in design school, so if you're a budding designer, that's what I would recommend. Pay attention to your typography and really master that, because I think that that makes all the difference. These, again, were just kind of simple spreads in the middle, but I think overall it looks quite nice. The final project in the portfolio, it was again packaging design. So this was for like a hand cream soap combination set. You can see the stickers, and again, I went for that kind of hand-drawn look over top of the textured watercolors. This one's kind of hard. Again, I would have had a mocked up package of it, so it would have looked way better, but basically the package kind of folds up and over itself and sticks and kind of covers, like goes onto the spout of the bottles. But yeah, I mean, I think this is quite nice too. It's hard to tell because it's so small. I should have probably maybe rotated it in the spread. So that was my portfolio for design school. This is what got me my diploma and got me kind of my first job. If you are a budding designer or you're interested in getting into the field, I just recommend honestly looking at so much stuff out there, seeing what you like, and really focus on your understanding of typography and type hierarchy and how that plays together, because if you can't communicate the message properly and it's getting distracted in your design, then it's going to be hard to kind of excel in some of the design fields, especially like me when I went into corporate design. Those are the main elements. That's what you got to focus on. So I hope you enjoyed going through this portfolio with me. It was such a trip down memory lane. So I started university wanting to be a doctor, and it just didn't feel like me. So I called my mom and told her I was dropping out of university and going to art school. And she was so supportive. And having this portfolio be the conclusion of that decision it's very nostalgic. So yeah, I hope you like it. If you want, there will be a video up here of me going through some of my first projects in design school. If it's not linked up here yet, it's coming soon. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.